What's up YouTube? Fallout Freak here. I'm back with another characters video. So we did Fox from Fallout 3, so we went full circle and we're going back to a Fallout 4 character now. And the character we're going to be talking about from Fallout 4 is Nick Valentine. So without further ado, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Nick Valentine, give you a little bit of a background, the creation of Nick Valentine and what the original Nick Valentine was. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about Nick Valentine. Nick Valentine is a synthetic private detective living in Diamond City in 2287. Following their awakening, the sole survivor hires him to help locate their missing son, after which he offers them his services as a companion. Background: an unusual robotic detective, Nick Valentine is the sole detective of a small agency he runs in Diamond City alongside his assistant Ellie Perkins. In addition to possessing the memories of a late pre-war detective, Nick has certain abilities that complement his investigative skills. He is very effective at hacking computers and adept at both range and melee combat. Valentine believes himself to be a prototype between second-generation synths and the latest, which might explain why he exhibits sapient intelligence and is not innately hostile towards non-institute humans. He is generally well respected throughout Diamond City despite his mysterious origins. Creation: the synth that became Nick Valentine was created by the Institute over a century before 2287. He was one of two unique prototype Gen 2 synths used to test if and how synths could handle independent thinking and personalities. Nick was implanted with an artificial personality based on memory recordings of pre-war humans with the other synth named Dima was allowed to develop his own personality based upon experiences. For years, Nick was experimented on, having various personalities and memories from former humans loaded into him. Despite this, he and Dima grew a family-like bond to one another due to being the first and only synths of their kind. This was until Dima grew to resent the experiments being performed on him and his brother. The two synths managed to escape, but not before the Institute uploaded a new personality and memories in Dima's brother. The synth, now identifying himself as a pre-war police officer named Nick Valentine, was left in a state of confusion due to suddenly waking up 200 years in the future. He attacked Dima, who was left with no choice but to knock Nick out and leave him behind. After regaining consciousness in a pile of garbage an unknown amount of time later, Nick wandered the wasteland in a state of confusion for several weeks. He eventually forgot about his past relationship with Dima due to the limited capacity of his prototype brain. The original Nick Valentine. The original Nick Valentine was a police detective from Chicago. He was brought to Boston to lead Operation Winter's End, an operation to bring down mob boss Eddie Winter. Unfortunately, Winter or one of his associates managed to find out about Nick's fiancée, Jennifer Lands, and killed her in revenge for Nick's involvement in the operation. The Bureau of Alcohol, Drugs, Tobacco, Firearms, and Lasers, otherwise known as BAD TFL, received intelligence of associates of Winter discussing her whereabouts, but senior officers decided not to place Jennifer or Nick into witness protection in order to avoid compromising the investigation. To make matters worse, Nick and the rest of the task force on Operation Winter's End discovered that Winter made a deal with the BAD TFL and the district attorney to incriminate his associates in exchange for immunity. In the weeks preceding the fall of the bombs, Winter was released and Operation Winter's End was disbanded. Nick was ordered to seek treatment for PTSD at the Commonwealth Institute of Technology, where his brain was scanned as part of his treatment. This was how the Institute was able to obtain Nick's pre-war memories and implant them within a synthetic body. Though the synth Nick is aware that he is not the original. Possessing the original's memories means that he shares the human Nick's traumas and emotions, including his anguish on Jennifer Lance's death and desire for revenge against Eddie Winter. So that's a little bit about background and how Nick was, I guess, pre-war. So I'm going to turn the volume up and play you a line of what Nick says in the game. So, alright, here we go. The volume's up. Here we go.
I'm a synthetic man. All the parts, minus a few red blood cells.
Yeah, that sounds about right, coming from a synth, minus the few red blood cells especially. Now I'm going to pull up a picture of what Nick Valentine looks like. Let me get to my desktop. And that's Nick Valentine. You see how he's a synth. I love his hat and detective-like trench coat as well. So yeah, he's a detective, and that's what Nick Valentine looks like. I'll pull up another picture. There's Nick Valentine as well in his office. And Piper likes to be around him as well. I did a characters video on Piper. I think for my very first characters video, if you want to go ahead and check that out as well. And here's another picture of Nick Valentine, a lot closer up of his face. You can tell he's definitely a synth of these like metal parts right here, kind of like robotic parts, and especially the eyes too, the yellow eyes. So yeah, that is a little bit about Nick Valentine. That's what it looks like. Let me get back to my webcam. And hit me up in the comment section below, and please let me know what you thought about this characters video, what other characters you would like to see me do a characters video on for my Fallout Freak channel. But until my next characters video, you must always remember that war never changes.